Once the top 12 running backs are off the board, the next 12 guys, running backs 12 to 24, starts to get a little bit dicey, man. We're talking about guys that have some upside, a couple of aging running backs, some dudes that are like workhorse, maybe not. Probably the most important range of running backs that we need to get right, dude. Because if you get it right and you take one of these guys, they could be a top 12 guy, maybe even a top 5 guy. We've seen it happen in past seasons. And that's why in this video, we're going to be throwing down the gauntlet. We're going to be comparing Omarion Hampton, Chuba Hubbard, and James Conner. These are three guys that are going back to back to back in ADP. Let's talk about Omarion Hampton. First round pick by the Chargers. He's currently either behind or in front of Najee Harris. We don't really know who they sign in the offseason. Now, Najee Harris remains kind of a threat to Omarion Hampton if he's healthy. We just don't know. He currently has one functioning eye. He's walking around Chargers practice like Michael Myers. So we don't know what the situation is. He has not really practiced or put on pads or done anything. So we don't really know. And let's talk about Hampton in a vacuum. Top 12 in yards after contact, 97th percentile in college football, top 26 in elusive rating per PFF. So he's a very good running back in a vacuum. Now, in this Chargers offense, Greg Roman offenses have ranked in the top 11 in rush attempts every single season. He is a run-first offensive coordinator, and that makes the running back for any of the teams that he currently manages a very valuable running back. Think about J.K. Dobbins last season. Think about all the different bust stop Magoo players that they had for the Ravens when he was the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. So that makes Omarion Hampton a very intriguing option if he has the backfield to himself. We just don't know. That's the problem, right? And in terms of the Chargers offense just as a whole, 28th in total pass attempts in 2024. That means they want to run the ball. And they do it pretty well, man. They have a good offensive line. One more thing that I really want to talk about with Omarion Hampton is that rookie running backs, my general approach to rookie running backs is if they're drafted with high draft capital and they're sitting on a team where there's not really like a stud running back ahead of them, which really doesn't tend to be the case, they're typically going to be a really good running back the second half of the season. So that can either be a point in favor of Omarion Hampton as like a draft, or it could be a point in favor of maybe not drafting him and waiting to trade for him, hoping that Najee Harris gets a lot more work than expected. That's going to tank his value. Then you could potentially go out there and get him because, we're looking at the end of the season, man. We want to win championships so that, our girlfriends or wives could just shake their head as you wave this trophy in front of them, right? So, and now we're going to move on to James Conner. I just need to start this by saying the man is old as dirt. He is 30 years old, which in running back years in the NFL, he's a grizzled vet, man. The dude has some dust on his treads, but nevertheless, very productive in 2024. RB 15 points per game, 283 touches, 1,500 total yards. Very productive, dude. One of the better running backs in the NFL, dude. I used to hate on this man. I used to think he was just a guy, just like a random running back, just a serviceable, workhorse, volume-based running back. But I was just dead wrong, dude. He's 11th in yards after contact per attempt. Kind of insane for a dude his size. Or no, sorry, that's normal. Yards after the contact for a dude his size is good. But sixth in yards per route run for a dude his size is insane, right? That means he's catching the ball, he's receiving. He's not just a LeGarrette Blunt type of running back, right? And he retained a strong passing game. It wasn't just statistically good from a yards per route run point of view, but he was also getting a lot of receiving work, right? So seventh in receiving yards per game at the running back position. It's, again, very crazy. He played in 14 plus games for the first time since 2021. So health is usually an issue. It wasn't necessarily in 2024. He actually remained relatively healthy compared to other seasons. Now let's watch this Coach Speak Index video of James Conner. It's essentially the offensive coordinator and the head coach kind of give two different takes on the workload of James Conner and Trey Benson. So we're going to watch this real quick.
You said James would be your workhorse back with Trey's growth. Do you still feel like that's James's role?
Absolutely. I think James has proven that over the last couple of years, just the way he carries the ball, what he brings to the offense. I think that's always going to be the case. I certainly feel like there's other guys in that room that can carry some of that load and have a big impact on offense, Trey being one of them.
We'll cut it there. Basically, he said James Conner has earned the workload and he earned the workhorse role. Other guys are going to want to compete, want to get involved, but at the end of the day, James Conner has proven himself. Now, let's see what head coach Jonathan Gannon had to say. This is according to Coach Speak Index, by the way.
We have two RB1s this year. Has that been the message from the coaching staff to those two guys?
Not from me. It's compete for your role. You know what I mean? But I think probably what they're alluding to is both of those guys is they both want to play and they think they both can impact the game.
All right, dude, let's unpack this. Jonathan Gannon, the head coach, said, for me, both guys need to compete for the role. Trey Benson and James Conner. They both think that they can produce and be productive for us, but they're going to have to compete at the end of the day. What the offensive coordinator, what the coaching staff was saying was that they think James Conner has already earned it, but I disagree. So that's kind of interesting, man. So that's just keep that in mind when we're talking about these players. Next, we're going to move on to Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to show you guys a comparison chart, the comparison table after this. But Chuba Hubbard, 26 years old, running back for the Carolina Panthers, obviously. RB13 in 2024 in terms of fantasy points per game. Top 5 in snap share and opportunity share. So he was 3rd and 4th in both those stats. 12th in weighted opportunity and 14th in red zone touches. To put it simply, he was a workhorse back. From week 2 on. From week 1, it was kind of weird. Miles Sanders getting a lot of work. Chuba was actually kind of butt cheeks, so like that was a weird week. But from week 2 on, dude was just a bona fide workhorse running back. Carolina's offense ranked 24th in yards per play, 21st in red zone attempts. So they had a bad offense, but he was still very involved on a bad offense, and that led to RB13 in points per game. That's about right, right? If you're a workhorse back but on a bad team, we can expect that you're not going to be like a top 5 running back. That's just usually how it goes. Remember our first philosophy, which was good players are good teams, just for a little bit of foreshadowing. 11th in explosive run rate, 7th in yards after contact per fantasy points data. So he charts well across the board. Individually, he charts in the top 12 in all relevant metrics, in my opinion. And he's going to become a clear every down back. Hopefully, you guys can see what I am showing you guys. We have Omarion Hampton, James Conner, and Chuba Hubbard ranked, or not ranked, but they're listed here. Now, here are the 5 metrics that I got. I got their O-line rank, their team's points for. These are projections based on Mike Clay. Strength of schedule, also based on Mike Clay, based on Vegas projections. The depth chart, so who's the RB2 for them, and then the PFF grade in 2024. Now, you guys can see Omarion Hampton. Now, I don't know how we're going to weight each of these metrics. You guys can maybe have your own takeaways. Look at this stuff and be like, you know what? I care more about points for, so I'm going to go with Hampton. I care more about how good is the O line, how many points are they projected to score in the season, and how good are they individually. And we see that Omarion Hampton, dude, off rip at the top of the list. 8th best offensive line. They have the best points for on this list, so 405. That puts them in like the top 10. Strength of schedule is not bad. It's about middle of the pack, 17th. But the issue, the part that kind of makes me, pause is Najee Harris, man. As I mentioned at the top of the video, Najee Harris is a little bit problematic for us, man, because we don't know how involved he's going to be. We don't know if he's going to be the end zone back, the goal line back. We don't really know, man. But nevertheless, Omarion Hampton at 88.7 PFF grade in 2024. And then we have James Conner, O-line rank 16, middle of the pack, 388 points for. The Cardinals are expected to be a decent team, but they have the 7th easiest strength of schedule, and he's got Trey Benson sitting behind him. Now Conner on this list was individually the better running back. He's a 90.4 PFF grade. That's not that much ahead of Omarion Hampton, but it's a nice little signal that even an older running back can still be good, in my opinion. And then Chuba Hubbard, kind of, middling across the board. 18th ranked O-line, 357 points for. 10th easiest strength of schedule. That's not bad. With Rico Dowdle sitting behind him, who's coming off a 1K yard season for the Cowboys. So Chuba Hubbard on this list has, I wouldn't say the best handcuff, but somebody who's fresh off of being pretty productive and efficient with the touches he was given. And with Chuba Hubbard only having a 75.7 PFF grade in 2024, I'm slightly concerned by it. But I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, my takeaways from looking at all this. We're going to look at some projections real quick. These are Mike Clay projections. Chuba Hubbard is actually Omarion Hampton is actually projected to score the most fantasy points according to Mike Clay. We have him here at 263. Followed by Chuba at 257, followed by Conner at 250. They're all kind of hovering around the same area in terms of rushing yards. So 1,100, 1,200, 1,000. They're all expected to get about the same amount of receptions, targets, receiving touchdowns. It's pretty even, bro. That's why these guys are all ranked very similar. They're ranked back to back. Now, how do we rank these guys, man? So, me personally, looking at this chart, if these metrics matter to you, if you think that they're important, you would think that it would be Hampton, Conner, Hubbard. But personally, I have Hampton at number 1 because Hampton not only has the better O-line, a better offense, a better quarterback, a decent PFF grade. Najee Harris, who, one-eyed Willie walking around like Mike Myers, as I mentioned. A decent strength of schedule. They don't have a tough schedule, but they also don't have an easy one. He's the clear guy. He has the most individual upside. He's very young. This team went after him. They've been speaking him up all offseason. I'm taking Omarion Hampton above both of these guys. I'm potentially even taking him above Kamara. I'm taking him maybe above James Cook. We don't really know. I don't really know about that one yet. And second in this list is going to be Chuba Hubbard. I'm taking Chuba Hubbard above Connor. I know when you look at this player comp table, you might be asking yourself why I would do that. Chuba Hubbard not only is on a worse offense, he had a worse PFF grade. He also has a slightly more competent RB2 behind him. I'm taking Chuba because I am planting my flag on the fact that the Panthers offense will outproduce their projections. They will be a much better team than we expect. We saw that Bryce Young, second half of the season last season, was fantastic, bro. He was like a top 6 or top 7 quarterback in fantasy. The second half of the season, he really turned it on, dude. He was looking fantastic. This team goes out, they get Tet McMillan, or Tetaroa McMillan. I know he doesn't like being called Tet. I think this offense is going to be surprising people, man. I think, I know it sounds like a super unimportant signing, but Hunter Renfrow being signed as like a slightly younger Adam Thielen replacement, they got some talent on this team, man. You got Leggett for some big play potential. You got Jalen Coker as like an undrafted kind of uncut gem. I'm just excited about the Panthers, man. I'm planting my flag that they're going to be a much better team than we expect. And that leads us to James Conner, third on this list. I'm sorry, guys. I just cannot take James Conner above these two names because James Conner, at 30 years old, the fact that the head coach and the offensive coordinator are at odds about the workload, I'm gonna also say that I think James Conner is going to be the workhorse back. I think he is going to be the main guy and get most of the work. But just the age, just the fact that there's a chance Trey Benson can get a little bit more work than expected. You can make the same case for Chuba Hubbard that maybe Rico Dowdle gets a little bit more work than we would like. But I'm just going to go with the younger guy who, I'm a victim to ageism when it comes to running backs, bro. That's just how it is for me. But that does it for this video, man. I hope it's an interesting video. I think it's good to kind of compare players that are going around each other in ADP. I think it's a good exercise to because dude, I know how it is when you're sitting there on the clock and you're looking at these three names and, on a Friday, you might like Hubbard. On a Saturday, you might like Connor. And then you'll see like one tweet and be like, nah, dude, I'm going Connor. Like, look what the coaching staff said about him. We need to have our own kind of thinking and our philosophy heading into our draft season so that we don't get hung up during drafts, man. I know I'm rambling at this point, but that's par for the course on this channel. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments if you would disagree. I know Connor is a controversial one. Some people love him. Some people are fading him because of his age. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new and want to catch more of this. And I will catch you guys in the next video.